guys, so I had way too much fun planning out this video. I might be spending too much time alone or with the dog. But anyway, today I want to talk about something that completely changed the way that I study herbs. Plant families, right? Now, before your eyes glaze over and you're like, oh my gosh, here she goes again. Here's some botany terms. Please don't. Just stay with me because I maybe I'm just weird, but I had way too much fun. So anyway, because I promise once we get these concepts down, they're gonna be pretty easy for you to see. And in fact, I don't think about plant families anymore like plant families. I think of them like actual families, and that relationship kind of helped, right? And when you think about it, plant families can be just as complicated as our own families, right? So let's think about our own families for a minute, right? A lot of us have parents, brothers, sisters, cousins, grandparents, aunts, uncles, right? Everybody shares something in common, right? But we're all a little different too. Some of us are a little more different. But maybe everyone in your family has blue eyes, right? Or brown eyes. Maybe you all laugh the same. My daughters are starting to figure out they sound like me on the telephone. It's a little traumatic for them. We're helping them through it. Maybe everybody gets grandpa's stubborn streak, right? Maybe everybody just, is funny like that. Well, plants do that too. And a plant family is simply a group of plants that are related, right? Because they're related, they often share similar characteristics. Not always, but often. They might look similar, they might smell similar, they might contain similar groups of compounds, right? Or even have similar traditional herbal actions. That's why herbalists pay attention to plant families. These are clues, guys. So we've learned how to read our books, and now we're learning about the families, right? So let's start with one of the favorite families. Everybody knows a lot from this one, the mint family, right? So you've got, when you look at this family, you've got our friend lemon balm. Melissa just keeps showing right on up. You've got peppermint, you've got spearmint, you've got lavender, right? Good old rosemary's in that family too, and sage, and thyme. You see what I'm saying? Everybody knows a lot from the mint family. Oregano, basil. I think I have like 6 or 7 of them on the porch, right? All those plants are related. Now, do they all do exactly the same thing? Of course not. Just like your cousins don't, right? Not all your family members do the same thing, right? But they definitely have the same family traits, right? Many of those have square stems, opposite leaves, right? Many are wonderfully aromatic, right? You notice a lot of our culinary herbs are in that one too, right? Why? Because many members of the mint family are rich in volatile oils. And that's why you can crush the leaves between your fingers and immediately smell a wonderful aroma. Suddenly, you're not memorizing 9 plants anymore, right? You're recognizing the family resemblance. Like when you and your cousins get in the room, everybody can see the family resemblance, right? So let's look at another family. So let's do the daisy family, which a lot of those are growing right now. You probably already know several of these. Some of them might actually surprise you being in this family, but you've got chamomile, calendula, you've got echinacea, you've got yarrow, you've got arnica. Again, very different personalities, especially if you know anything about those herbs. Same family, right? Those often have beautiful composite flowers, right? And you really start to recognize those flowers, right? And then you look at the carrot family, right? And this is where I had too much fun, guys. And I probably should be ashamed of myself. But again, maybe too much alone time. So in the carrot family, we have, well, carrots, and we have fennel, and we have dill and parsley and coriander and angelica, right? Again, family. So one of the things many of these plants share are those beautiful umbrella clustered shaped flowers at the top, right? And once you notice them, you'll start seeing them everywhere. A lot of those are in bloom right now too, especially where I live. So now, can I tell you where this really started to get too funny for me? And I probably should be ashamed, right? So anyway, every family has that one relative, right? We all know that one relative. You know exactly who I'm talking about. If you don't, you are that relative. I'm sorry. But the one that everybody quietly warns you about, maybe they will corner you and talk your ear off, right? Maybe nobody's supposed to be alone with them. I don't know. Whatever the reason, we all have that one aunt, uncle, cousin, whoever, right? And we do. And plants do too, right? Now you're seeing where the thumbnail came from. So the carrot family gives us wonderful herbs and food, right? So we're thinking about that again, right? Fennel, dill, parsley, angelica again. But they also have crazy uncle poison hemlock, right? Same family, completely different conversation. So just because you recognize the umbrella-shaped flower now, right, in that family, please do not start picking random plants out of the ditch. You might come home with crazy Uncle Eric. Don't do that. Family resemblance gives us clues. It never replaces proper identification. Make sure you take your books with you, your field guides, all of that stuff, so you know, right? And honestly, it's true in our own family too, right? So just because somebody shares your last name doesn't mean that you're going to hand them the keys to your house or leave them alone with your children. Some uncles are great uncles, terrible babysitters, right? You'll find them hanging from the rafters when you get home. Plants deserve that same kind of respect. Family just tells us where the plant belongs, where they came from, right? Not where to stop learning. And this is actually one of the biggest shifts in the way that you can study herbs, right? Years ago, every plant felt completely separate. And you'll learn too that you'll space out your mint family, right? So you have that aromatic all across your areas, right? So whenever I meet a new herb, one of my first questions is, what family are you in, right? Because now I already have a few clues, right? If I know they're in the mint family, I know what specific things I'm supposed to be looking for. That stuff I don't have to memorize. I already know it, right? Do they have aromatic oils? Do they have certain flower structures? What other similarities should I be looking for? Is this the anomaly in the plant family? Is this crazy Uncle Eric, right? What relatives am I comparing this plant to? This is not going to answer every question, right? But it gives you a starting place, things you already know. It kind of takes that weight off a little bit, right? So then I open up my herbal books and I look at the plant family, right? Make sure it's there. And for the longest time, I did skip right over it. I mean, especially if you're using, the long names, right? I thought that's interesting. I moved on, right? Not important, never going to use that. Now it's one of the first things I actually look at. Because if you see something belongs to the mint family, right, your brain is going to make those connections that I talked about, right? If it's the daisy family, you're going to start to see it, right? You have that mental picture already in your head. And if it's the carrot family, you're paying attention to those family traits, right? Instead of memorizing the isolated facts to make sure you don't come home with the crazy Uncle Eric of each family. It's building relationships. I don't have an Uncle Eric. It was just a random name. But anyway, one thing I want to be careful about, though, being in the same family does not mean these plants are interchangeable. You do not want to put peppermint in your spaghetti sauce. Peppermint's not lemon balm. Rosemary isn't lavender. Chamomile is definitely not echinacea, right? They're related. They're not identical. Think about your siblings, right? One might be a teacher, one might be an engineer, one might be a musician. Same family, very different strengths. And plants work exactly the same way. The family introduces us. The individual plant has its own story. And honestly, learning plant families made herbalism feel so much smaller, right? Not because there were fewer herbs, right? We definitely didn't shrink the amount of herbs, but because I wasn't meeting 500 strangers anymore, right? I was meeting families. I was showing up to mint, and it was introducing me to a cousin instead of memorizing this one plant at a time. You start to notice the cousins. You start to find the black sheep of the families. You start to pay attention to the crazy uncles. You recognize the relationships, and suddenly herbalism becomes a lot more fun. And if you have a least favorite herb, name it after the family member that you find the creepiest, whatever gets you engaged. So here's a challenge for you, not to rename all the herbs. They're hard enough to learn as it is. Next time you open one of your herbal books, before you read the actions, before you read the constituents, before you read what the herb is traditionally used for, look at one thing: the family. And then ask yourself, who are their relatives? And I think you'll be amazed how quickly your herbal studies come together and how much you actually already know. And that will definitely help you in taking bite sizes out of this. Don't memorize the plants. Recognize the patterns. The patterns tell the story. And watch out for the crazy uncles in the family. So, until next time, or the crazy aunts too. I mean, I've got some aunts that will probably talk my ears off for days too. Not to be one-sided. There's crazy on both sides. But anyway, until next time, stay rooted, stay curious, and as always, keep growing in grace.